Let's take a look at page 6 of Marjane Satrapi's Persepolis. We've already been introduced to the narrator of this memoir, who's telling the story of her childhood growing up in Iran during the Islamic Revolution in the 1970s and 80s. Before we get started with our close reading, I want to point out that when I first look at this page, my eyes are drawn immediately to this center panel. I think it's because of the large size of the person, the happy expression on their face, this dramatic halo, and their position in the foreground.
Yeah, and the panel is wider and larger than all the others on the page, and it's centered on the page, which draws our attention to it.
What first catches your eye when you look at this page?
I notice that the panels jump across time. We have Margie as a sad 10-year-old here and here at the bottom, and we see her as a happy, blissful baby and young child here and here. That makes me think that this page is going to go into her past to explore what she's experiencing in the present.
Because we read comics and graphic novels from left to right and top to bottom, like in a prose text, let's start up here with the first panel. It says, "I really didn't know what to think about the veil. Deep down, I was very religious, but as a family, we were very modern and avant-garde."
Margie's uncertainty is really emphasized by how she's split exactly in half.
Also, the use of black and white on opposite sides of the panel really shows that she's torn between two opposites, her modern and avant-garde family and her religion. But I wonder, which side is supposed to represent modern and which side is religious? What do you think?
I looked up avant-garde and it refers to ideas and art that are experimental and new. So I'd say that the left side, with the hammer, ruler, and gears, represents modern and avant-garde.
Okay, and the right side matches up with Margie's veil, so that could represent religion.
Like I noticed earlier, this next panel takes a huge turn from the first. Margie goes from being around 10 to a baby. It says, "I was born with religion." Margie as a baby couldn't look more blessed and holy here. At first I thought she was on a blanket, but because of the caption, I think it might be a prayer mat.
I agree. Since she's born with religion, not just born into a religious family, I think the picture is showing that she was born holy, preordained. Look at how she's drawn completely white on a white mat. She really stands out against the black background. And this use of black and white seems really different from the way those colors are used in the first panel.
Yeah, they aren't mixed up. Could that mean that there is no doubt or confusion at this stage in her life? She started out in life with just religion. She hasn't experienced her family's modern and avant-garde ways yet. There isn't any confusion or doubt.
We could really talk about this one panel all day, but let's take a closer look at the next panel, the one that really caught my eye at first. The third panel is kind of similar to the second. Margie is 6 here, but she still has that righteous, holy glow around her, only it's drawn differently, more exaggerated.
I think it looks more brilliant. It's grown as she's grown older. She looks so confident here.
What do you notice that makes you say that?
I think it's like you said before, this image is kind of the center of the page. She appears really unnaturally large given her age.
Right. She's wearing a holy robe and maybe carrying a holy book. She's so certain, pointing her finger, maybe towards God, and smiling, and the adults are clearly worshiping her.
It's the caption that really conveys her confidence, though. She says, "At the age of 6, I was already sure I was the last prophet." That's a bold claim. Prophet is a person who carries the word of God.
That confidence is really absent from the first panel. I wonder what happens between age 6 and 10. Let's keep reading.
These next two panels are so small and narrow. Look at Margie now. She still has the glow, but something's different.
Like you said, this panel is really hemmed in. Margie is shrinking. She still declares, "I'm the last prophet," but there's not as much confidence here as in the previous panel.
The fourth panel shows all the prophets that came before her. They're all older men. Look at the differences in the way the other people are drawn in both of these. When the people bow and worship her, she's large and confident. When they have these slanted eyebrows and skeptically ask, "A woman?" she's smaller, weaker.
In my mind, I hear her statement as a question spoken kind of quietly. The words are really squeezed into this tiny space. It makes me think that her image of herself depends on how others perceive her. As she's getting older and learning more about the role of religion in her culture, the doubt creeps in.
So now I really want to look closely at these bottom panels where Margie is 10 years old again.
Yeah, we're jumping ahead a few years, back to the age she is in that first panel where she struggles with balancing religion and modern ways.
What I notice right away is how these last 3 panels are all the same size and shape, fitting neatly into the bottom row. This kind of matches the captions too. The sentence structure in each panel matches. I wanted to be a prophet because.
There are similarities, yet each scene seems so different. The gutter, the space between panels, feels very large here. The panels don't have action-to-action transitions. These are totally different scenes that don't really connect at first glance. They appear to be happening around the same time, but we have to work to connect them ourselves.
Here Margie wants to be a prophet because her maid did not eat with them. Look at her face. It's exactly like her face in the first panel, and so different from her parents, and even the maids.
What does being a prophet have to do with where her maid eats?
No one else seems to see a problem with the seating arrangement, but Margie. She does kind of stand out here, like a prophet would. She is concerned about the maid. She sees injustice when others don't, and it bothers her.
That is kind of holy of her, even though she's not drawn with a holy glow anymore. And notice the change in her word choice. Instead of being born with religion and being sure she is a prophet, she says, "I wanted to be a prophet." And this next panel, she's got that same concerned look on her face about riding in her father's Cadillac. What's with the angles here? And who is this person?
So we're looking at the scene from the person's perspective here. He seems surprised about the Cadillac, and the angle of the car almost makes it look like he's being run over. I guess this is supposed to be a modern and kind of fancy car. Look at the dad driving with shades on. Is Margie embarrassed? Is that why she's kind of hiding? What does this have to do with being a prophet?
The modern car makes me think back to the first panel, how Margie is torn between her religious beliefs and her family's modern ways. This panel really shows what she meant. I think she is embarrassed that her family has modern and expensive things, that they aren't acting holy.
And if we connect this panel to the one before, maybe it's because she's concerned about unfairness and justice. Like she's noticing everyday situations of inequality, and it bothers her. She wants people to be equal.
And in the last panel, she cares about her grandmother's knee pain and wants to heal it. Since all 3 of these panels have so many similarities, panel shape and size and even sentence structure, I know there must be some connections between these scenes. They all involve other people who don't have what she has.
Margie goes from having this content and secure facial expression as a young child who's convinced she's a prophet to this older kid who isn't so sure. Notice here that she says, "Don't worry, soon you won't have any more pain." But these bubbles show that she's only thinking this, not declaring it like she did when she was younger. Now that she's 10 and noticing the complex problems in her society, problems she doesn't have easy and clear solutions for, she's less confident.
Well, that's really understandable. Don't we all kind of go through that in childhood? We can feel pretty certain about our world, especially if we have a pretty stable and comfortable home life. And then, as we notice how others are experiencing the world, we start to feel less certain about things. The world isn't so black and white.
One page's combination of words and pictures has really helped me understand more about why Margie feels so conflicted. I wonder how or if she'll get that confidence back.
Yeah, or will she grow more doubtful?